Hey, Happy New Year, everybody. It's Patricia, and we're back for our Thursday video sessions. It's always my favorite time. I love getting used to talking on video and bringing you messages this way, and I hope you enjoy listening and hearing my voice and hearing the message versus maybe reading something or whatever. So Happy New Year 2019. It's kind of crazy. It seems like a future date still, but I really wanted to talk a little bit about, this is the time of year when we start thinking about what we want to do differently or, things we didn't achieve last year. So let's talk a little bit about that. I've kind of given up on New Year's resolutions to hit some sort of imaginary goal or anything. And so what I started doing is picking a word. And last year my word was authentic. And I really wanted to try to do things that resonated with me that I wasn't doing because somebody else said I should, or it was what other people expected. It was really what I wanted to do. And so I feel like that served me and it really changed my worldview. And I feel like it pushed me into new areas that I enjoy. So this year, the word that has come to me is intentional. So I really am going to try to do things on purpose with meaning and not just react. So to take a pause, take some of my own advice and pause and think about, why am I doing this? What's the goal? Who am I serving? What's the bigger picture? So one little tip for you is if you've done a New Year's resolution and I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to do these things. So for me, I really want to be more physical, more active. I've kind of taken a back seat in that for the last couple of years, just really focusing on my business and not being so busy. But really, I feel like it's time to start moving again. And so, but I'm going to be intentional about it. I don't want to just go to the gym 3 times a week. I really want to incorporate things that involve movement, but add meaning to my life. So that's my New Year's for this year. So all these things that we think about doing, it requires, we start with willpower, right? That's always the first. I'm going to do this thing. I've checked it off my list. I'm going to do these things. And you fight against yourself. You fight so hard and eventually we fail, right? Whenever willpower is our go-to strategy, most chances are we're going to fail unless there's something else in addition to willpower. It does require some mindfulness and some thought, but just wanting to do something really isn't enough. So willpower, that I'm going to do this, that's great, but there's got to be more. So one of the other things that you need to have is action, right? You have to take some step. And I think this is where people get really off track because their actions are usually big and bold. And for me anyway, making changes are a lot of little steps in the right direction versus jumping from the bottom of the mountain to the top of the mountain. So that's another idea of, instead of thinking I'm going to go do these big, great things, do some little small things in the direction of where you want to go. Also, whenever you're talking about willpower, usually it's against what you truly believe. And that's why it's so hard, because we do what we believe. So if you believe putting your hand in a fire will burn you, you're not going to do it. If you believe going to the gym is uncomfortable and hard, you're not going to look forward to it. If you believe that, going for a walk is a waste of time, you're going to struggle with it. So the goal is, what we need to do is change what we believe and trick ourselves. And this is where a lot of coaching comes in, because it's hard sometimes to see where we're screwing up, frankly. We know what we know. We see the world through our own lens. And it's all based on everything we've learned since we were young children. We learned how our parents did things. We viewed the world through their eyes. So that became our worldview. Their habits became our habits. And so to change that, it's not just wanting to do something. You really have to change what you believe, which is very difficult. And that's very hard to go it alone. So, Nike says, just do it, which is great. Sure, you can try that. But in my opinion, that never really lasts very long. And so really the only way to overcome this lifelong set of opinions, values, ideas, beliefs is to change how you view the world. And that requires several different things, a willingness to change. If you say, this is the way I am, I'm not always going to be this way, you're very unlikely to change. If you see things and your viewpoint is unadjustable, and you say, nope, this is how I believe, this is what it is, you're going to have a really hard time changing. So if that's you, what you need to do is try to be curious. I love the word curious because it can open up a door that you didn't know about. So if you become curious about how you can incorporate activity versus I have to go to the gym. So you can be curious, like maybe I'll go for a walk, and while I'm on a walk, I might do something different, right? I might take some pictures. I might take my dog. I might go with my spouse and we enjoy time together. And so instead of it being about just going for a walk because you have to, you go for a walk because you get to, and you can go for a walk because it's pleasant for you to do that. Also, when we start talking about this new perspective, it's hard for you to know what you don't know or to see what you haven't seen. And I think that's where the coaching can really come in. So if we're talking about our diabetes plan, every one of us has a routine, right? We check our blood sugars, we do our thing, we take our medicine. Here's what we're used to. We write stuff down or we don't write stuff down, whatever that looks like. And that's what we're comfortable with, and that's what we're used to. So to change requires getting out of your comfort zone. And to have change stick, a lot of times you need someone to hold you accountable, or to have that aha moment where you go, I never thought of that. Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. That's what you're hoping for, because when we get those aha moments, immediately our worldview shifts, and something that we didn't think was possible before now becomes plausible. It becomes something you might be willing to do or to consider. So that's really what, if I talk about my coaching practice and what I do with clients, yes, we go over the basics of diabetes. Diabetes 101, if you don't understand what's happening inside your body, you're going to be kind of, in a place that it's going to be hard for you to understand why you're doing all these things. So you have to understand, what's happening first. So that's kind of part and parcel. Most of us have been through that with educators and our doctor's office, but sometimes it's not bad to kind of come back and revisit what really is going on, because we get in a rut and we forget oh yeah, I learned that thing a long time ago. So we always start with just leveling the field on, what is actually going on. The other things that we talk about, a lot of emotions attached to diabetes, emotions that most of us are not taught how to deal with, right? So if you're feeling frustrated or angry or resistant, how do you get out of that place, right? There's things you can do. It's not just you have to suck it up and try to get through it. It's better to let those heavy emotions go, and there are ways that you can do that. And I've talked before, there's some grieving there. You have to quit living in the past and wishing things were different. That's such a heavy load to bear. And when we can kind of let that go and start looking at what is and what our today looks like and what our tomorrow can be, that's a much more joyful and light place than living in the past and being regretful and remorseful. We also talk about motivation. What motivates you? What is the thing that gets you to change? And it's not the same for everybody. So you have to really understand how you work and how you can get somewhere different. Talking about ownership, what are you willing to do? What are the things that you're willing to own? What are the things that you maybe let other people be in charge of? And it's time for you to take the reins back on those things. And then lastly, we talk a lot about communication. So communication is probably one of the most misunderstood terms, I think, in the world. Communication is a two-way process. It's what you're saying to people. Are they really understanding you? Are you giving them what they need? Are you using your voice? Are you speaking the truth? And then also, are you listening? Are you hearing what other people say? Are you receptive? Can you be open to something you hadn't thought about? Those are not things that all of us come pre-equipped to deal with. So when we look at how we take diabetes and we live it in our lives, it's more than medicine. It's more than finger sticks. It's all the things I just mentioned. And so if you're struggling, usually struggle is when you're stuck, right? We're stuck, we're resistant. Sometimes it's really easy to get people out of that when you give them some new perspective. So if you are at a place in your diabetes management where you'd like to make some changes, you wish things would be a little bit easier, that it wouldn't be so hard, that somebody understood, that's what I do. That's what I'm here for. If you like little nuggets and little stories, I'm going to plug my book here, Dragonfly Lights, Learning About Your Perfect Purpose. The book has little wonderful, easy life lessons what I just said in a nutshell for people who like pictures and little small tidbits. It's available on Amazon. Just search for my name. There's also a companion book if you want to do that with your kids. It is not necessarily just for diabetes, right? It's any sort of problems or struggle. But if we don't understand why we're doing what we're doing, again, what our purpose is, we're very remiss to try to change that and improve it. So try to keep this short. That's all I'm going to say today. Happy New Year. I would love if you have a word, if you've got something that's going to inspire you this year, share your word. I'm going to be very intentional about coming and talking to you and sharing something that I hope will help you. Happy New Year. Happy 2019. And again, always like and share. Give me some comments. And if you know someone who's struggling, please give this to them and see if it might be something that would be helpful. Take care and talk to you next week. Bye.